If you want to run faster, you've got to run more. You've probably heard that before. And you know what? And there is some truth to that. And you know something? It will make you faster. It'll make you a better runner. But you know what? It's not the only way to do it. There's multiple ways. Sometimes I wonder if people think there's some like secret ingredient, there's this secret to hacking your way into running faster. I'm gonna tell you something you really don't wanna hear. And then I'll tell you something that you do wanna hear. You gotta stick around to the end because I'll get into all this juicy details soon enough. What I can tell you is there's no real secret sauce. This one particular thing, if you do, you will run faster. There just isn't. But what I can tell you is that if you do a number of things consistently over time, you will improve. I've tried numerous things, and what I can say with absolute certainty that there is not one way to train to run faster for longer. However, there are a few things that I have incorporated into my training that have certainly made a big impact, and it made me a stronger, faster runner over time. And if you implement these, I'm sure as I stand here right now, and these lines are blue and green, that you'll see improvements as well. However, I'm no running coach. I'm just a guy who likes to sell houses and help people buy houses. But I do know a lot about running slow because look, I'm a turtle. What can I say? Let me tell you a story. A number of years ago, I was training for my first marathon, and I had just come off of running my first 5K. I had never run further than that. And I decided that I would embark on this amazing adventure. However, little did I know what it was gonna take to actually complete a marathon, let alone what kind of training I was gonna have to do. However, I decided that I would embark on this adventure and try to get my times down as low as I could. I was slow and I was new to the sport, and it took me an hour to complete a 10-kilometer race. Look, that's okay, it can happen. There was 2 training plans that I used, one to get to 48 minutes in a 10K, and a different one to get to 42 minutes in a 10K. So just depends on the type of runner you are, the type of fitness you're in, and what you're willing to do to see the results. The whole concept of running faster to get faster, I think, is flawed. It is certainly one way that you'll find yourself injured. When I was younger, there was a different approach that I took. But now that I'm older, I approach things much differently. There's a couple of different methods that you can use to train. One, you could use the 80-20, right? So 80% of your runs are going to be slow and 20% are going to be faster, such as intervals and tempos, threshold runs, things like that, hill repeats. Or you could take the periodized training approach where you train nice and slow and start just building your aerobic base and just keep working on that day in and day out, and hopefully you will get faster over time. Now, I know I did, and it worked extremely well until it didn't. I am a constant work in progress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are my training blocks. And yes, they are bricks. I am on a beach and they didn't stand up. So I'm gonna try to do the best I can with each one. But each one of these blocks represents a week. So if I've got 10 weeks of training, okay, here, let's get rid of these for a second because it's kind of hard to talk when you have these in your hand. Consistency is our first one. And like I was showing you with the bricks, each brick stands for 1 week of training. And if I've had a training block of like 10 weeks, look, that's pretty darn good. Now, each week may not be exactly what you're hoping for. You may actually have some bad weeks where your runs don't go as well as you hoped, or maybe you've skipped out on 1 or 2 because life got in the way. You know what? That's okay. Yes, you want to get faster. Yes, you want to be able to run and set some PBs before, you can't set any of those. The big thing when it comes to consistency is about just being able to stack the fitness day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Once you keep doing that continuously, you get to be a stronger, faster runner. And some of these are just going to be average runs. They're not going to be anything special, right? Whether you're doing kill repeats consistently or whether you're doing your long runs. It's just the art of showing up for those training sessions and just getting her done. There's no secret in that. you can apply that to business as well. If you show up in your business, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to start seeing results. If you don't, yeah, you may have to get a 9-to-5 job. The next thing is sleep. Look, sleep, people may think sleep is overrated, but I'm telling you, it is not. And it will certainly help you in your training. Like the first thing, if you can get, an additional half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour extra per night of sleep, man, you're going to be able to tackle those long runs, the interval training, hill repeats, whatever it is. You'll be able to take it all on, knowing that you've been able to recover and get the rest that you need. Because man, nothing is better than getting a good night's sleep, waking up feeling refreshed, and tackling whatever it is that you got to tackle for the day. Getting that sleep allows your body to absorb the training that you have been putting in. It allows your body to start making adaptations to the fitness that you're gaining from all of this exercise and the training that you're putting in. So don't discount it, because without it, you have a higher risk of injury. And again, it puts you all the way back at the beginning. And who wants to kind of start there again? I know I don't. Who doesn't love recovery? Recovery to me is something that allows my body to just take a break from all of these harder runs or shorter runs or long runs, whatever it is. Sleep and recovery are kind of like tied hand in hand. I mean, you can do like self-massage, you can hop in a cold shower or a cold bath. It's a little cold, so you may be a little shocked, but there is some science behind it that works extremely well for recovery. Being able to just take a regular bath, heal those muscles. Epsom salts is really great to throw in there as well. And one of the other things about the whole recovery is, you can get a massage gun and give yourself a good, self-massage. It really works wonders if you've got some niggles going on, or you just want to get some more blood flow going to your calf muscles or your Achilles or any of that type of thing. Man, that's a big plane. I love my foam roller. It works extremely well. Even having a lacrosse ball that I could run underneath my feet makes a world of difference, specifically after like these longer runs and I'm just a little tired. It just feels epic to be able to get that done. Don't discount the recovery. Just saying. You may not be able to find the time in your day, but I would do your best to find the time in your day, because it's well worth it. You may not be able to sit there all day and just kind of relax, but what I would say is just try to carve out some time where you can just do some nice recovery and treat your body kindly, because it's putting in a lot of work for you. Hey, do you guys like these videos? I hope so, because I like making them. If you could hit the like button, that would be really helpful right now. Or maybe add a comment, because I'm gonna tell you, I like reading them and I like replying to them. And I'm behind the 8 ball right now. I've got a lot of messages to get back to, but I'd like to add some more replies to this list. So maybe if you just click somewhere. Thanks, guys. This one is very important. This one may shock a few people, specifically if you've been watching my channel for a while, and that is variety. Yes, I am talking about different types of running, different paces, different sessions, different workouts, whatever it may be. And what I mean by this is, look, you may have seen on my channel where I've run every day for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and I'm just running slow every single day, day in, day out. Like doing the same thing every day continuously can get very old, can get very boring, and it can kind of make you a little bit of a sloppy runner, and your form may break down. It's just, sometimes it's kind of hard to hold a good form when you're running, when you're training using the Maffetone method. So one of the things that I would encourage you, because I've done this, is mix it up with some faster running. Set it up sometimes where you're on the track doing, 800 meter repeats or 400 meter repeats, or, 1 by 500 or whatever it is, and maybe stimulating the pace that you run at. Because if you're running slow all the time, it may not be as beneficial once you've worked up to a certain point in your training. Being able to keep your body always pushing for something different and keeps it guessing, that's a good thing, right? The slow, steady runs are fine, but at some point you have to kind of shock your system and say, okay, it's time for something a little different. Let's do some hill repeats this week, or things like that. I mean, look, the big thing is, again, like I said before, you have to have consistency, you have to have variety, you have to have things that keep it fun, so that way it keeps it going. So if you're adding in some variety runs, man, it can make all the difference in your training. And the thing is running slow will only take you so far. Eventually, you're gonna have to start doing some of these tempo runs, hill repeats, track sessions, whatever it is, if you have a certain goal in about running faster, right? The stimulus that your body needs, you always want to keep it guessing because it's a good thing. One of the things that I like, this is one thing I do like, and I have used it a couple of times, you could use progression runs are great. It's when you start, your first kilometer is the slowest, and then you work to get faster and faster and faster, and maybe do a 5K like that, or maybe you do a 10K, or maybe you do strides after your run, or in some cases maybe you do a fartlek, right? Maybe you, on your run, you're running really slow, and then you run really fast for a minute, and then you run really slow for a couple minutes, and then you run really fast again. Like, you can change it up. There's things that you can do, and I know they work because I've done that type of training as well as the Maffetone method. I've done both types of training. These bugs are crazy. Oh, springtime's here. This is a big one, and it's your why. Every day is a mental struggle, and we have to ask ourselves why we do the things we do. Because if we don't know why we're training for a marathon or a half marathon or a 10K or a 5K, or why we're going to the gym, or what's so important about, gaining muscle or working on your cardio, whatever it is. If you don't know that why, getting out the door is going to be so much harder. And let alone if you're on a long run and heck, your mind's not in it and it wants to say, hey, you know what? I just want to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. That can be really hard. And specifically if you're in a race, because if you can train your mind, right? If you can train your mind, so much more is possible. And so knowing why you do the things you do will help you in the times when you struggle. If you struggle to get out the front door, if you struggle to run a fast 5K, if you struggle to run fast for, a couple of minutes, if you're struggling, it's because of this. The mind just wants to say, hey, you're done. I want to keep you safe. I don't want you to do this anymore. And that is not a good thing when you're in the middle of a 10K race. The big thing people say is, well, how do I do that? What do I do to make this happen? Well, I guess the thing that works for me, but it may not work for you, you want to make it fun. You want this to be fun because really, if it's not fun, you're probably not going to want to do it. And so showing up for yourself, putting yourself first, making you matter is important. And for me, it matters to me because if I don't show up for me, I don't show up for you. Because if I am not in a good place to run and to train and to share my experiences, then I'm not good to be able to do a video like this to be able to maybe inspire or help other runners who kind of go through the same things I'm going through. I guess what I'm trying to say is just figure out the why. Because once you do that, really it fixes it. It fixes everything else. And I'm sure this is the one that you've all been waiting for. The one that I talked about at the very beginning of the video. And that is adding more weekly mileage into your training plan. Look, there's one thing that I do know is the more that I run, the more that I'm able to endure, I do get faster over time. And being able to endure these longer distances, like if you're normally running, let's say a 5 kilometers, you could increase your mileage just by an extra kilometer. It could be 6K. Or if you're doing a long run, you can always add in some extra kilometers. Increasing your weekly mileage by no more than 5-10%. Yeah, that's an important thing to do to stay safe and, you know, not get injured. But you also don't want to overtrain. One of the things that I would suggest is if you're trying to increase your mileage, you could add some of these extra miles, you know, at the end of a long run. Or maybe if you're running in, you know, 4 days a week, maybe you add 5. Or if you're running 3, you add, you know, a 4th. Or in some cases, maybe you double up, maybe you do a double, right? Just all depends on what you're trying to achieve. Like when I ran 100 miles in 1 week, that was really intense training. That was like 160 kilometers. It wasn't easy to find the time to actually put it into the schedule and make it happen. But, you know, if you can, you may not have to do that. But what I'm just trying to say is increasing your mileage to run longer will make you faster because you're building that aerobic base. And I've mentioned that on my channel more than I can count. Using the Maffetone method really does work. I like it. It's something that's really helped me improve my running by 3 minutes faster. And that there is no joke. Like, that is unbelievable. But again, if you tie all of this in with the longer mileage, the consistency, the recovery, the sleep, the variety, when you tie it all together and you put those in action, I'm telling you, it can make the world of difference in your running. I know. Look, it's always easier said than done. But here's the thing. We all have a day one. I'm gonna use an analogy. You know that big comfy chair that you've been sitting in for years and years? It didn't always start off being maybe that comfy, but over time it became very comfy and you don't want to get out of it. However, it's kind of like running. You know, running can be very rigid at the beginning and, you know, over time, that rigidness starts to dissipate and you become more adapted to running and you get better and stronger and faster. Just like the comfy chair, it just gets more comfortable as time goes by. While we're on the topic of running the longer mileage, this is something that really was eye-opening to me because I really wasn't too sure how running 100 miles in a week would actually feel like, what the results would look like. So in this video right here, click it, and I think you may have a whole new understanding for what some of these elite marathon guys go through, because I'm not an elite guy, and man, it was hard.